Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. I've got a Draftkings Week 11 recap. We're going to go over everything that happened. Last week, we're going to look at my Best Buys column from ESPN and see what I got right, see what I got wrong, where we were lucky, where we got unlucky, where things kind of went sideways, because this was a very low scoring and odd week in daily fantasy. I hope that you guys did well. We're here on stream today on twitch.tv/Al_smizzle celebrating a win. Not of mine. I had an okay week. I didn't have a bad week. But we're celebrating a win for Sonic Librarian NH Payne, a member of this community for a long time, who took down the Millionaire Maker, the Flea Flicker, and the Slant on DraftKings. We spent all afternoon yesterday sweating that with him in the Discord. If you haven't gotten in there, there's a link down below in the description. If you're a member of the Twitch community, if you're a subscriber on Twitch, you have access to all the subs channels in there. Would love to get to meet you. Come by the stream. I'm live 6 days a week. Discord's running 24 hours a day, and there's a great community of people in there that are always chatting and supportive of one another. And that's what I love to see, is the community that we've built through YouTube here, through Twitch, and through the Discord to help us out. And John Brown was a big part of his win. And if you had a good day in tournaments, he was a big part of your week as well. If you would be so kind, drop a like on this video, because I have brought it back to YouTube, because so many people have complained that they wanted to see it on YouTube and not just on Twitch. So it's here. It's going to come out on Tuesdays, because I've crafted the videos or changed my release time so it won't clog everything up. We film it every Monday though. I'm going to release it on YouTube on Tuesday mornings so that you guys can have this video, because I do think it's an important part of the process, and we did not stop doing it. We just haven't published it on YouTube. So it's back. Welcome it back with a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you ring that notifications bell, because I put out a ton of content every week during NFL season, and I don't want you to miss any of it. So let's get right to Best Buys. Let's start there, as usual. We'll go through everything that we have. Yoon Embiid, thank you very much for the resub. 13 months total. Here's the article on ESPN. It's a Plus article. If you have Disney Plus, you can get that bundle. You get this article for free. If you have that bundle, well, you get it for having ESPN Plus. It's a paywall article, but best deal in the house, I assume, would be getting Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN Plus if you want this article. Deshaun Watson was a bust. I'll take the loss here. My bad. 5.96 DraftKings points. Really did not contribute much at all, as Baltimore's defense just kind of crushed them. 18 of 29, 169 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 rushes for 12 yards. Really didn't do anything. Was not able to do anything against Baltimore. Baltimore's looking just absolutely studly. Kyle Allen, 31 of 50 for 325 yards, 4 interceptions. At least 2 of those were in the red zone as they were marching down the field. A lot of the players on Carolina had good days because of the amount of yards that he was able to throw for, but they just couldn't find their way into the end zone pretty much at all. 12.7 DraftKings points. As I've said repeatedly over the years on first looks, on recaps, on everything else, quarterback scoring does not have anything to do with volume. He threw it 50 times, completed 31 of them, threw for over 300 yards. It has to do with efficiency. Threw no touchdowns, threw all interceptions, did not reach value. We wanted 20 points of them. If those 2 interceptions become touchdowns, we're talking about how great a day fantasy-wise Kyle Allen had. They didn't, so he sucked, and he sucked for a cheap price and at a high percentage. So if you played him, and I played him in my main lineup this week, it could have cost you if you didn't have the right combination of running backs along with him. We'll get to that in a little bit later. Lamar Jackson did Lamar Jackson things, ran 9 times for 86 yards, 17 passes for 24 attempts, 222 and 4 touchdowns. Still absurd efficiency. 33.5 DraftKings points because of how much other teams have to worry about him and Mark Ingram running the ball on first down. They throw the ball a ton on first down, which leads to really high efficiency for them. Matt Ryan had another 300-yard day, 21 of 31 for 311 and a touchdown, 19.44 points. Not great, but not terrible, especially considering the other terrible days that were out there. Christian McCaffrey is extremely good, does not require write-up. He's in play. Let's move on. Yep, he was. He had 33 DraftKings points again. 14 carries, 70 yards, no touchdowns on either side of the ball, and still had 33 points on volume alone. 11 catches on 14 targets for 121. Got you the bonus through the air. Ezekiel Elliott. We spent a long time on the anti-Tinkercast yesterday talking about Tony Pollard, and the question was, Tony Pollard's cutting into his workload. I expressed at length how Tony Pollard is getting 4 to 6 touches a week. Tony Pollard got 6 touches again this week. Ezekiel Elliott had 18 touches this week, 2 of them coming through the air, only had 45 yards rushing, did have 2 touchdowns on the day, 20.3 DraftKings points. For 9K, I want more, obviously. But looking at how other running backs did on this slate, he was the best of, he got the better of him and Dalvin Cook if you were paying 9K or 8,900. Alvin Kamara, you can't really run on Tampa Bay. He only had 13 rushes for 75 yards, but he caught 10 balls on his 10 targets, 47 yards, no touchdowns, still had 22.2 DraftKings points. Was a fine option here. That game kind of went as we expected. Josh Jacobs, at least in terms of the New Orleans offense, Josh Jacobs, 6,900 was just too cheap on DraftKings and was really highly owned in tournaments. Got us 26 touches. We want to pay for volume more than anything else. I can't predict touchdowns. He did have carries inside the 5, did not hit pay dirt. 23 carries, 112, got you the bonus, no touchdowns, 3 catches on 3 targets for 12 yards. Those 3 catches are very important as he has separated himself from that Derrick Henry, Marlon Mack crowd who don't really contribute with the passing game at all. So now at least you have a little bit more of a floor, 3, 4, 5 points in the passing game. And that really goes a long way to justifying a salary. And I expect his salary to drop in the weeks coming because he is not facing the Bengals, and DraftKings does price people up for matchup. 17.4 DraftKings points for him. Dalvin Cook, this game went completely backwards as the Vikings were at home and favored by over in double digits, and they ended up being down 17 points early. They had to chase. They did catch up. They did get back into this game. Dalvin Cook did not have his 20 carries as he typically has. He did have 5 catches for 6 on 6 targets for 31 yards. 16.7 DraftKings points. You're paying for a floor. You got it with most of the guys that were up high except for Christian McCaffrey. Brian Hill was a bust, did have a touchdown called back, but if I told you that for 4,800 he was going to have 16 touches in this game, you would have been fine with that. That's what he had. And that they were going to win huge. We were afraid that they were going to get down against Carolina, and there was a possibility that he might get game scripted out and lifted for a more pass catching back. That none of that happened. We got unlucky that he got pulled at the goal line for the other rookie running back who ran in his first carry of the year was a touchdown carry from 1 yard out. We got unlucky that another one got called back. So what could have been a really good day for Brian Hill turns into a really bad day for Brian Hill at 4.8 points. I have no process problem with this play. As I said, he got the 16 touches that we wanted, got a goal line carry, got called back, and got lifted for another one. That was going to be a danger as Ellison was the guy that could have taken that from him. Mike Evans did not have a great day. We talk about the variance inherent at wide receiver all the time. Only got 8 targets, 4 catches, 69 yards for 10.9 DraftKings points as Jameis Winston just looked horrible again. DJ Moore, 15 targets, extending his streak. He had an average of 10 for the past 4 weeks, had 15 this week in a game that they were trailing massively most of the time. Brought in 8 of them for 95 yards, no touchdowns, 17.5 points for one of the highest owned wide receivers on the day. Russell Gage had a touchdown called back, tilting for me for that one to get overturned. 4 targets, 2 catches, 32 yards, 5.2 DraftKings points. I'll take the loss here, but if he was going to miss, it was never going to be by much. If he catches that touchdown, we're dancing in the streets. He didn't, so it's a miss, is what it is. Julio Jones, 6 catches on 8 targets, 91 yards, no touchdowns, 14.7 DraftKings points. Deebo Samuel was, in my opinion, the best value on the board by the time Sunday morning came along. 8 catches, 10 targets, 134, no touchdowns, 24.4 points, and a really fun sweat to help Sonic Librarian take down that millionaire maker. Darren Waller, 5 catches on 7 targets, 78 yards, 12.6 points. He kind of did his thing, got vultured by Foster Moreau. Once again, that just seems to be a thing that they do a lot. They scheme to get the ball to Moreau as everybody else gets attracted to, the zig where they zag, right? So if the defense is going to take away Waller and Jacobs and Williams, you throw to the other guy off of misdirection, and that's exactly what they did. They ran a waggle play action, roll a little bit to the right, and then have Moreau leak out to the left against the flow of everything, and he was wide open, and it was an easy throw for Carr for a touchdown there. So that was by design. It's something that we're going to have to think about moving forward. Got lucky with Jared Cook, only caught 2 balls. I was expecting about 6 to 9 targets out of him this week with that offense. Only got 2. One of them was a 30-yard catch. The other was a 3-yard touchdown on a very nice catch. 11.3 points. So he got there, but we got lucky with this one. Eric Ebron, we got unlucky with this one. as he had some sort of stomach bug and was throwing up on the sideline for the majority of the first half, which vastly limited his snaps, his routes, and everything else. 4 catches on 4 targets for 27 yards, 6.7 DraftKings points for him. Ross Dwelley found his way into the end zone twice this week, even though he only had 14 yards on 4 catches, which is absurdly low. Did have 5 targets, which is kind of what we thought would happen with Kittle missing this game. And it's just strange that the Cardinals just randomly keep giving up touchdowns to opposing tight ends. It's odd. It's really weird. The Minnesota Vikings had 4 points. That's a miss. The Saints had 17 and the Dolphins suck. Moving on to my team for the week. We usually look at and I don't have them in the right order. Here we go. Here's the four-man. I came in last in the four-man with 137.9, but a very narrow spread of scores with a 14 points, separating 13.5 points, separating first from last in the four-man. So very clustered game here this week. Even though ownership wasn't 100% on any guy. Kyle Allen, 50% owned, 12.7. Dalvin Cook. I went with Cook and Elliott over Christian McCaffrey and Hill. I tried to jam in as many touches as I could possibly get into this lineup. And cost me 4K more. 3 to 4K more to jam in Cook and Elliott over Christian McCaffrey and either Gage or Sanders, who popped up as a big X Factor value play that we talked about on the Anti-Tinkercast. And it was a mistake. Just play Christian McCaffrey, Al. That's all you got to do. Just play Christian McCaffrey all the time. That's really all you got to do. And I should have just played him all the time. I thought that I had a better floor and a better ceiling with the combo of Cook and Elliott and the touchdown equity that both of them had in this game. I saw that touchdown equity come into fruition with Ezekiel Elliott. We did not see that come into fruition with Cook or Jacobs this week, but Jacobs did have the 100 yards. Dalvin Cook, 16. So not a great game there. Cost me points, cost me salary. I was always going to have DJ Moore. I was always going to have Deebo Samuel. Changing off of the value put me on Russell Gage. I would have had probably Julio Jones or Mike Evans in this spot, so it didn't make that much of a difference on points from one to the other at that wide receiver spot. Like 5 to 10 points there would have been a major difference in this, but the big difference was no Christian McCaffrey here with the value play. Would have saved that money. Eric Ebron over Dwelley. I thought Ebron was the better play. Unlucky that I think we got lucky with Dwelley that he caught 2 touchdowns. I think we got unlucky with Ebron. I still think Dwelley was a good process play, but based on the amount of yards that he had, we got lucky that for 14 yards, he ends up with 2 touchdowns. That was lucky, and we got unlucky with Ebron that he was throwing up in a trash can the entire time. So last in the four-man, but this lineup was a 50 percentile lineup, above 50 percentile, like 50.5%, which means in head-to-heads or head-to-heads, I would have won half. I didn't post my head-to-heads this week because I just forgot. I was busy. Sister-in-law was in from out of town. We went out to dinner on Friday night, did all the other stuff that we were doing with the family. And then, so I entered the large field 50-50s, lost to the rake in those, because you need to have like a top 55 percentile, 56 percentile lineup with the rake where it is in order to cash those. Did not exceed that. But as you saw before, that tournament lineup that I had up here, I entered the $1,500 tournament, did not make the money in that, but it pays 27 spots. 50th percentile cash lineup out of 141 teams finishes in 30th place. The cash line in this tournament was 139 for the high stakes tournament. Absurdly low, where if we get that extra 20 points, with the Christian McCaffrey play, you end up in the top 10, right? You're up in this range right here, 8, 9, 10. So a very strange week in terms of how that stuff played out, right? Spoke about at length on Sunday morning that there were 6 running backs in play, and we could only really pick 3 of them. I didn't choose correctly. Hopefully you guys did, and I hope that you had yourselves a good week. In tournaments this week, I made a little bit of money, which made me made up for the cash games that I did not make money. As you can see by my core being there, I also had a bunch of Josh Allen, John Brown stacks in my tournaments. I always am targeting Miami. So that put me in a position where one kind of made up for the other, and I basically had a break-even week. So it is what it is. I hope that you guys had a good week. I know that nobody had as good a week as Sonic Librarian, but that's not what it's all about. Hopefully, I mean, it's all about that for him, obviously, but as long as your process is good, as long as you're making the right decisions, you put yourself in the position to be lucky. just like I said with Ross Dwelly. We got lucky that he got in there twice. But if you ignored Ross Dwelly because his name is Ross Dwelly and you know, I've never heard of him before, so there's nothing that he can do, you're not putting yourself in that position in the right matchup at the right price for with all that touchdown equity against a matchup that can be exploited with all those vacated targets to get lucky. So do the work, have the right process, put yourself in the position, and sometimes things go the way you expect them to go, and sometimes you get a little bit lucky and you win. And that's what this game is all about. Until that next video, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
He's a legend.